So this is the blueprint to make your wife go from cold, distant, unloving, and stubborn to close, emotionally connected, and crazy for you again. And I'm gonna walk you through the 5 steps to getting there. This video is designed for you to come back multiple times to go through each of these steps in a sequential order to see the results you want. Let's not waste any time and jump straight into the first principle. Now, step 1 is figuring out what not to do first. You see, most husbands fail to save their marriage not because of what they don't do, but because of what they do. The fear of losing her causes you to act in a way that you've never really been before. You're in this emotional place of fear, nervousness, panic, and honestly, for the first time in your life or in a while, desperation. For example, did you know that actually buying her flowers, doing chores, and even discussing the problems in the marriage are surefire ways to end it? Not only that, but it puts you in a place that's low value. It makes her feel just chemically and neurologically repulsed and want to go to another guy. Why? Because you are a negative sentiment override. I'll explain what that means later on. Quite simply, a woman stays with a man that is confident, assertive, dominant, and loving, especially in the tough times. When she rejected you and started this whole separation process, you fell back into a low value state, a state of being that she cannot help but to reject. It's literally hardwired into her DNA. So let's explain each of these problems that you most likely have done that you're gonna stop doing today as I explain them. Like I already mentioned, the first one is to talk about the problems. Now, you have to understand that attraction, her being with you, getting back with you, falling in love, that's an emotional process. And when there's an emotional problem, you need an emotional solution. However, when you're thinking back to why she's upset with you, why she's wanting to leave you, you're gonna logically latch on to all these justifiable, rational reasons as to why she's done so. As an example, you'll think back to all those consistent arguments of her complaining about how you just weren't there, or how you didn't go on dates enough, or how you didn't do the chores, you didn't clean the dishes, you didn't take the kids out enough, whatever the case may be. It's different for every family, but also the same. The fact is you're gonna start trying to do that more. But she sees that from a place of desperation. She's saying, oh, now you're gonna do it? You think this is real? You're only doing it because I'm pulling away. That puts you in reaction to her. And when you live in reaction to her, what causes that is just like, okay, well, if you're in reaction to me, you're lower value. Now, you may be thinking, Josh, okay, if I don't fix the problems, how is it gonna all get solved? I wanna let you know, I'm gonna give you the solutions in this video. Just wanna let you know, okay? The next biggest mistake that you can make is seeing a therapist. Now, when I first started my process and method of helping guys save their marriage, I didn't completely say therapy is a bad thing. I'm a licensed therapist. It's just that it's really hard to find a good one out there, okay? But the more men that I see come to me, I realize the things that the therapists are saying, I'm actually doubling down on this idea that therapy is bad. And there's 2 reasons why. The first reason is that as a therapist, what I was taught in school is that you focus on a lot of the past issues. And as I said before, when you're talking about the problems, it's almost as if you're trying to learn to dance with your partner, okay? But you're trying to learn to dance when you've never been taught how to do so. And so you're gonna constantly step on her toes. And what I was caught doing in therapy is I was playing referee between the two, between the husband and the wife. And there were times I felt completely incompetent as a therapist in the beginning because I came in there and I was trying to make both happy, see the compromise, and they just both leave. What happened early on in therapy with couples that I worked with is that they would come in and they'd be excited for a date night. They would always come to, this is one couple in particular, they would always come to me right before their date night. Good idea. But what would happen is that we'd drum up all these issues and then they'd go on the date pissed off at each other and they would tell me the next week. But the second reason why therapy is not a good solution, actually makes things worse, is that it is feminine focused. As a man, when you're in a problem, when you're in a situation that you do not like, if I give you an action plan, steps, action to take, you are gonna achieve the result you want. However, therapy is more leaned towards the emotional processing approach. What therapy is good for is working through trauma. But when it comes to a crisis, like losing your wife, having the family fall apart, you need something that is solution focused and very effective and efficient at achieving good results fast. There is a third large mistake that men make, but I'm gonna say that one for later at the very end of the video because I wanna jump right into the value for you. Honestly, just stopping the logic, needy, nice guy behaviors that put you as low value and not seeing a therapist over time, that'll stop the bleeding. But now I'm gonna give you the 5 actions to start taking to actually win her back. This first principle is called the level of needs. Now, the thing is, a lot of men, they will try to skip steps. There is a logical progression process of stages through reconciliation for her to fall back in love with you. And what a lot of men will do is that they'll try to take actions at stage 4 to get to stage 5 when they're at stage 1. Perfect example. A lot of men think that if we just had sex again, Or if you just gave me a chance to start dating me again, I could show you these changes that I've had. Sound familiar, right? However, if she doesn't feel emotionally safe with you, there's all this resentment, and you're trying to take actions at step 3 or 4 or 5, it's just gonna make things worse. But simultaneously, if you're at stage 3, you've done a lot of good work where she's neutral with you, she's in the same house, she's kind of wanting to work in the marriage, but still talking about separation. If you don't take the right steps there to progress through attraction and seducing her, she's gonna also fall back. And so having a mental model and a framework to follow with action steps at the right stages is imperative to your success. Now, I have a whole video on this channel on the 5 stages that you could check out at the end of this video, but I wanna let you know the first principle is to know where you are at and know what actions to take at that specific stage to not backtrack. For example, I just got off a call with one of my clients in the program, very successful guy, sold a couple tech companies, and he's with his wife in stage 3. Now, stage 3 is at the point where, you know what, she's willing to work on the marriage. She's forgiven him for a lot of the things, but he is afraid to take steps forward to get her back. Why is this? When I explored deeper with this client, he saw a lot of resentment. He saw a lot of pain going on from him rejecting her, and she had an emotional affair with another man. Because of this, he was afraid of rejection, and also simultaneously, subconsciously, he felt like she didn't deserve to be happy with him again. And so that subconscious process prevented him from taking the steps forward to get what he consciously wanted with his wife. It was like one hand was reaching out for her, but simultaneously the other hand was pushing her away. This was agonizing for him. So what we did with him is I helped him forgive his wife, work through that resentment. And therefore, once he forgives her, he can take the right steps towards getting her back in his arms again. Now, that client struggled with that resentment, right, for not forgiving her. So what I worked through with him is to help him do complete commitment. Let me explain. Look, rejection hurts, but when she wanted separation, when you found out there was another guy, when she wanted to move out, whatever she did, it hurt like hell. And it triggered a lot of abandonment inside of you and made you feel like you are not enough. So if you look at her, you're thinking, man, she rejected me. And this woman knows you pretty much more than anyone else on this planet besides yourself, right? A woman knows you that much and then rejects you. What does it say about you? Now, because of that, you are a creature that wants to stay alive. Follow me here. And your ego, if someone rejects you, it is triggering that fear of abandonment. And that fear of abandonment helped you stay alive when you were evolving. So if you look at her as a stimulus, she is someone who creates a lot more pain than pleasure at this point. So consciously, you want to work it out with her for all the obvious reasons. But subconsciously, you are sabotaging yourself. Let me give you an example of the difference between what a committed man is and what a hesitant or indecisive man is. The committed man during a fight becomes calm, curious, compassionate, and puts her needs first. The indecisive man shuts down, gets defensive, and puts his needs first. The committed man mindfully responds to everything she says. The indecisive man is distracted in conversation, thinking of other tasks he must complete. The committed man knows every friend she has by name, her struggles at work, goals she has, dreams. The indecisive man simply doesn't. The committed man constantly seduces and surprises his woman just to see her smile. The indecisive man looks, fantasizes, watches porn to get his needs met. And if you think she doesn't feel the difference between the indecisive and the committed man, you are fooling yourself. You could say consciously that you want her with your words, but she is watching your actions and how she feels around you, and she is following that lead. So if you're not fully committed, you're only sabotaging yourself, and it is gonna not work out. Now, the action steps for this stage to get to the next is to forgive her. Now, I'm not gonna tell you how to forgive someone. You know, a lot of people turn to spirituality, religion, but I do have a couple exercises on this channel. You can check it out. The videos will be up on the end screen as well. Okay, now, principle 3, you have cleaned the slate, right? You cleaned it off. You are committed. You have let go of all resentment. What is next? There are gonna be scripts and stories that you've told yourself from your childhood that are gonna be holding you back. Now, there's this idea from Dr. David Hawkins called the levels of consciousness chart. You can see on this chart, he explains that there's different levels of emotions. Now, at one of the top ones, you can see it is love. Now, love is one of those just highly attractive emotions. People cannot help but want to be around others who are exuding this love. Now, you may know this by now or you may not, but you do have trauma. Okay, this is where therapy actually would come into play after you do these first 2 steps. But there are some self-sabotaging scripts you are running, that fear of abandonment, the self-doubt. Every time you get in your head when you're around her, you are sabotaging, you are becoming low value, and you are pushing her away because you're afraid. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a man, I got on a call with a guy another day too as well, talking to a lot of men in the program recently, and this man is a brilliant doctor, okay? And he's gotten up to stage 3 to 4 with his wife. But I asked him what happens. How does he slide back? Tell me that moment. What is causing you to go back? And he said, Josh, I will see her do something, like I'll see her get on her phone. She'll say one word with a negative tone, and I just get in my head asking myself, what do I say in this moment to get her to like me? And I said, in that moment, what are you doing? You were going in your head instead of your heart. And when you are in your head with her, what's happening? You're disconnecting you from her. She feels that disconnection. You are searching for something to gain something from her, right? You are becoming needy. And that all stems, if we follow where that comes from, it all comes from the past. Whether it was an alcoholic father like his, whether it was a mother that abandoned you, whether it was like an abusive brother growing up, okay? Someone in your life told you that you weren't good enough, told you that you had to adopt these needy, nice guy behaviors in order to survive. And what happens is that it is counterintuitive with your wife. Okay, so you must learn to release that resentment and go up the path of success. Now, there are ways that you should go see a therapist for that thing, okay? If you're in stage 3, seeing a therapist to explore those past patterns, totally great, okay? I'm not gonna tell you not to do that. But I also have a very specific technique that our coaches use with clients in our session, in our program. However, the other way is to set up a call with our team down below with our marriage evaluators. I've developed a way to go up that levels of consciousness. Imagine that trauma, those negative scripts holding you back are like weights pulling you down. Once you learn how to let go of those past things that are holding you down, bringing you to the level of fear, to the level of apathy that she feels from you, you're able to float back up to that level of love and connection that she is craving from you, for you to lead her toward that space. But you can only do so by fixing yourself first. So if you want help guiding through that process, that's what we do in our program. Make sure you're fully committed, and let's get to the next principle. The fourth principle is all about her actions. If you don't understand female psychology to a large degree, she'll feel like you just never understand her. All the differences and conflict that has been created over the years is a misunderstanding about how she operates, how she feels, the needs she has, and the communication strategies. I will give one example. Again, there are plenty of videos on this channel if you search for them, and I have a whole playlist on female psychology. However, I'll go over one of the most important ones. If you were to do a little experiment, you can pause the video and come back to this, and you were to ask your wife or some other woman that you know that you're close to, when was the last time you were afraid for your life? You'd be surprised that most women, it's at least once a week, if not a day. As men, we are stronger, our bones are denser, we are not as afraid for our lives. But women have always been more dependent physically upon other men. Controversial topic nowadays, which is pretty interesting, but we're not gonna go too down that rabbit hole. However, it is a fact, evolutionary speaking. But she wants to also be independent. So this back and forth causes a lot of the mixed behaviors that she has. But there is a solution that you can take with all this. Let me list all the ways that you made her feel threatened and shut down, become tense, and create a negative emotional interaction with her. Every time you raised her voice around her, every time you deliberately ignored her, every time you became jealous or possessive, every time you disregarded hers or your own boundaries. All of those behaviors, plus many more, have caused her to not feel safe with you. That you were once her protector, her bodyguard, and you turned the gun on her. And the thing is, I'm gonna cut deep here, okay? When you looked at her in the eyes on your day of your wedding, you vowed to protect her heart. And every time you did those things because of your own lack of inner work on yourself, you have hurt her. I am not trying to make you feel bad, but I am pressing a wound that should already be there, right? I'm making you realize, even if she didn't have the voice, because she wanted to act strong because of her own trauma or whatever the case may be, every time she tensed up, every time she criticized, every time she said, I'm fine, or ignored you back, became masculine herself, became stubborn, it was a reaction for you not making her feel safe, not understanding the way she operates. Let me give a perfect example. The other day, one of my clients, I was speaking with him one-on-one. His wife and him are doing pretty good after our work together, right? But his wife is talking to him and he goes, Josh, she just tells me these stories that go on and on, like all these details that don't matter nonstop. And it's like, I can't help but just turn off. But she feels the moment I turn off and she calls it out every single time. I was like, what a gift, right? But in that moment, you are looking for the problem. You're saying to yourself, where's the problem so I can fix it? When a woman is vomiting her emotions out, it's like all she needs is a container, this bucket. By you trying to solve this problem, by you trying to fix that, you are taking that bucket of throw up, the emotional throw up, and pouring it back on her, okay? She doesn't want you to solve anything. She wants you just to be a safe place for her, just to understand her, reflect back how she's feeling. That is one difference just in communication alone, but there are plenty, all right? The fifth principle is about your actions. I call them apex actions. We talk about the apex male on this channel ad nauseum, right? This is this high value man that integrates both the provider and the protector together to become a top 1% man that your woman, your wife will never leave. She just can't, she won't. But I was talking to the client and I asked him about the original time where he first attracted his wife. He goes, yeah, we were at work and I was dating another woman at the time and she hit on me, but I didn't recognize the signals. And so I was dating this other girl and then we broke up. She just naturally it worked out. I told him, I said, do you know why she was into you? He's like, I don't know, because I was like her superior in a way. I said, no, because you activated something primal in her called pre-selection. I did my whole thesis in grad school on short-term mating selection in college-age females. You can tell where my brain was at the time, but I poured over hundreds of studies, and one of the common variables that cause attraction in a woman, very viscerally, was this idea of pre-selection. That when another woman wants you, it means that you are already selected and she doesn't have to do the guesswork to show that you're a high-value man, okay? Now, I told him this, and he was like, well, am I supposed to go date another woman? No. You see, when you are dating another woman, you are in a place of abundance. You ever had that thing where it's like, oh, when you're in a relationship, like the most attractive thing is a wedding ring, right? Because it's not that they know you're in a relationship with a woman. You give off a certain behavior, a lack of neediness, the way you speak, a lack of attachment. There's just like no outcome that you're trying to get her, okay? You're just in the moment with women when you speak to them. And I said, she felt that lack of neediness from you. Therefore, she was attracted. The thing is that you can replicate the same behaviors in your actions that lead to the same emotional result in her. Because your behaviors do influence the way she feels, positively and negatively. All these needy behaviors have caused her to lose attraction for you, lose respect, lose trust, right? Not feel safe. But if you learn the correct actions that no one taught you, the correct behaviors, what to do in every single moment with her, down to your vocal tonality, or your eye contact, how to speak with her, when to ask questions, when to lead, how to lead, right? How to learn how to be unreactive, how to flip the script with her, how to hold your frame, things we talk about on this channel. When you learn the gambit of all those personality traits, the behavioral traits that took me thousands of hours with hundreds of clients to field test myself and with clients and figure it out. When you do those things, attraction, desire, chemistry, emotional connection are just byproduct. It's just a byproduct of all of that, naturally. Okay, I told you that I would finish this video by telling you the final mistake that a lot of men make that causes them to guarantee to lose their wife for good. And that is men trying to do this on their own, trying to get the wife back on their own. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen a guy come into a call or in our program and he said, Josh, the biggest mistake about all this, you've seen the testimonies. I didn't do this sooner. Because when she's in the same house still, but in a different room, right, for a lot of these men, or she mentioned separation, but then the fight goes back to normal, or maybe you're able to do things yourself and it gets better. You think, you know what, I'm on the path of success, but it holds a lot of men back. And then it's just like this tipping point occurs where it's about to tip, right? And you're like, well, it's not completely tipped over. And then guess what happens? One random fight, or you find out there's an affair partner, or something happens and you swear she's done for good. And you had the opportunity to fix it fully, but you didn't take that opportunity. And so I don't want that to be you. Whether it's through me setting up a call, whether it's through a therapist, whether it's through someone, I want you to try to just get expert help. Because even though you are a brilliant man and you are amazing at what you do in your career, you are an amazing problem solver. Most men I talk to, we have that capability, right? When it comes to this, putting your ego aside just for a second, because she's that important. If she's your soulmate, you need to keep the family together. You want to be an example to your kids that you fought for her, that you look back at your life full of regret. Looking internally at yourself and saying, you know what? There are some things that I can learn that I'm not seeing here because I don't want you to live with regret, okay? All right, thank you for watching the video. One of the other videos is right here. Go ahead and check the channel. There's playlists down below about everything I talked about. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.